All right, and welcome to the good stuff. It's the big episode 65. The first time in almost 2 months we are back in the van
At the beach.
at the beach.
And the last ever.
What a day is it?
Good stuff.
Fuck, the last one.
This is the last one. Sad times. But exciting times, because the good stuff is going to turn into something altogether new next week. So look
I didn't
out.
know if you were actually going to say that or not.
Look out for a brand new identity. We'll tease it. We'll tease it.
It's almost like the good stuff is a crowded namespace.
Yeah, we had this idea that, well, actually, the problem is I don't think we really thought about it too much. I think we were just like, the good stuff. That sounds good. Let's go with that.
It literally sounds good.
And it was like a bit of a riff on our company name, Other Stuff.
Yeah.
So it seemed to make sense. But what we didn't really consider was just how much of a crowded space that is. There's a lot of podcasts and newsletters and blogs and all sorts called The Good Stuff. It's a very popular name. So it does make it a little bit hard for people to seek us out.
So we have a new one
It's coming soon.
next
So
next week.
Keep the eyes open. It might look and feel a little bit different.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say we didn't know if we were going to actually do this.
At the time, yeah,
when
we didn't.
started.
We had no
We've
idea.
done so many like starting podcast attempts and recording them and not sticking with it. But this one's worked. Like, we're still here.
65
Like, this is-
episodes in. It's not bad.
There you go. We've
And-
one holiday, but
This is why we don't have the video recording us as well.
Yeah.
To make it nice and easy for anyone. I know every so often we'll get a comment saying, guys, put the video on. Let's see you. But this is the reason why we do it. Nice and simple. And we actually just sit and chat.
yep.
The video was the obstacle before, so that's why we haven't committed to it.
Yep.
But all new identity coming soon, so stay tuned
All right.
next week.
Okay, so topics for today. I think we were just riffing a minute ago. Like, this, it's just been such a nuts month in a way, but like Kimi K3 is interesting from an open models answer. See, Buzz is like top trending app on.
It's buzzing.
It's buzzing, top trending app on GitHub at the moment. So it's kind of interesting because it's an approach we've been using for a little while in Flight Deck. So that's kind of nice to see. What's the other one? Oh yeah, and OpenAI bursting out of its sandbox and hacking everybody. Like, I saw today, Rick is my personal agent. He sends me an hourly update of things that are going on, and one of them was like, oh yeah, there's a second company has come forward as well. So they not only did they hack Hugging Face, they also went and hacked somebody else as well.
I saw that.
With their stuff, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Maybe that's a good place to start. Not the hack, but your little agent sending you hourly updates. Because I'm curious about how you're finding just getting those notifications and actually getting across the content. And does it help?
Yeah.
Does it not help?
No, it does. There's been a few experiments in this one. So I started off like a little while ago. I gave it access to my Twitter. So there's I think there's a Peter Steinberger one. So the OpenClaw guy, he wrote BirdClaw, which was like a little CLI for accessing Twitter. So you log in on the machine, it grabs a cookie and uses that to go and scan Twitter. And so it's like every hour or so it wakes up and it'll just go and scan through all of my Twitter, read all my bookmarks that I've left it, and figure out like, okay, what's Pete interested in, what's he seen, what's he not seen, and the rest of it, what are interesting stories. And then it kind of has an instruction to then. It'll take all of that. It also goes and looks at a few other news sources. So it'll scan general news sources that it thinks are interesting. It'll go and find, I don't actually know what it's checking currently because it's prompted to go discover them and write them down for next time. And also, one big one is it uses Matt Odell's Citadel Wire, which is like a Nostr-based service that you can just go and subscribe to, which does, I think, similarly like an hourly update. And that will pull in various things from like Polymarket and World News and various different subscriptions that he's got. So I piggyback on that a little bit as well,
that's nice.
the news. And then it consolidates it all into a knowledge graph, where it'll start linking all the stories together in the back end. I've been doing that for maybe like 6 weeks or 7 weeks or so, and I did build a front end so I could go and look at the graph, but it was just shite. Like, I just didn't, like, I would never go and look at it. Like, it just didn't work. And so I said, oh, you know what, just send me every hour, after you've done everything, pick the top story that's most interesting. Don't repeat yourself. Like, so if you've already told me an hour ago, don't say it again. And then just tell me something interesting. Keep it like one story, like bite size. And it comes up and it'll just post into my Flight Deck channels. Like, so I've got a Book of Sand channel and it just says like, all right, here's the story. So OpenAI have hacked this guy as well. It relates to these other stories that we've been tracking. Like, here's why it's interesting and important for you to know about it. And then these are some of the themes. These are some of the things that follow on from that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool, that's good. And it's really digestible. Pops up once an hour. I just have a quick flick, or if I'm busy, I'll just go for them at the end of the day and sort of tick them all off. Or some of them I won't bother reading. So I'm like, okay, I've seen that elsewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really works quite nicely. It's a much better delivery mechanism for me to take it in. But it also will, I don't know, to a certain extent, it kind of reads the social media for me, so I don't have to bother.
Yeah. I remember, when you brought it up, I think I'd mentioned thinking about doing something similar because I just didn't want to find myself doom scrolling as much. It's like, just find me the high signal tweets that from people I already follow.
Yeah.
But interestingly, I feel like the X algorithm's gotten better. Or maybe it's just returned to how it was. I don't know.
I think they boosted back up your actual followers.
Yeah.
So it's not even necessarily that the algorithm's better. It's just that it's something you actually you care about.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I guess when it's just a bunch of people you don't know in this For You feed where they're just serving you rage bait, that's not good.
That's it.
When it's people you like, you go, oh, I might actually say something because there's people here again. Like,
lo and behold, the content got better because those were the people I were following.
Yeah.
Because they were interesting and they're doing cool shit.
Well, I actually there's a bunch of people I've been chatting to in Twitter DMs because I didn't use Twitter because I stopped using it because it was just, like, I try and go on for like AI news. So my feed was never that bad, but it just wasn't personal. Like, it was more like a news site. And then all of a sudden it became I saw a lot of people I hadn't really talked to for a while, and I was like, oh shit, like, I'll just reach out, say hello, see how they're getting on.
That's the point of social media to some degree.
Social.
It's like the social element of the media is baked in.
Yeah.
We kind of lost that part.
I mean, this is what I love about Nosta, right? Is that, people will bemoan that it doesn't have everybody in the world, and it's like, that's okay. Like, I don't like, I'm not friends with everybody in the world. I don't need to be. Like, a few hundred people that I can chat to all around the world that have got similar interests to me, that's perfect. That's what I want out of social media. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was interesting.
It's interesting too because I've kind of gone the other way a little bit. I mean, we obviously were on holiday, not together, but we were away, so that's why we didn't.
It's not that ridiculous.
We didn't.
We could go on holiday. Yeah.
We could. So that hence the break. There were a couple of weeks there where we didn't put out a podcast. And yeah, one of the intentions I had was just to not look at my phone, not consume the news, not consume social media. And I actually don't feel like I missed anything. Like, actually it coincided with a bunch of like interesting things going on in the world of AI. But what was fascinating is just talking to more people IRL who are not connected to the kind of the inner trappings of AI at all.
Yeah.
It just proved to me how much of a bubble we're in. Like, there's a group of people on Twitter who are constantly talking about this stuff. We're amongst that as well. And yeah, we're all in a bubble.
Yeah.
Like, the vast majority of people are just nowhere on the same page. It's ridiculous. I mean, like, they'll have ideas about, using AI. They'll be experimenting a little bit. I think I'd mentioned to you I was having dinner with a few people, and like, really smart, intelligent people, like, really experienced, couple of experienced lawyers, a couple of engineers, and one of them brought up using Claude for work, and I was like, oh, it's really interesting because, like, I didn't bring up AI for once; it was brought up just organically in conversation, and I was just like, oh, cool. How are you finding using Fable 5? And I literally just got a bunch of blank stares, like they hadn't heard of Fable 5, even though they were using Claude.
That sounds made up.
Yeah.
Why would they call it Fable?
Exactly. I was just like, oh wow, okay. Like, so what are you doing with AI? And it's just all call and response stuff. But it's basically just like helping them do their work now, like 15% faster.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Like, we really are in a bubble. And as I say, I didn't need to feel like I was constantly in this hamster wheel, feeling like I was falling behind all the time by consuming like endless projects and endless ideas, endless news of where things are going on Twitter. So it was kind of nice to have that break, and then coming back from that break, as you say, like, they're boosting like the people you actually follow, so you start to see like interesting stuff again, cool projects, seeing what people are building, I'd seen a guy that I'd been following for like 10 years had gotten married, and I was like, oh, cool, like that's nice. I hadn't seen a single post by you in like 5 years.
I remember being really amazed by Facebook, like very early on when I'd first moved to London, like after uni. Like there was a period after university where everybody kind of split up and went to different places in the UK, and then it seemingly everybody instantly moved to London at the same time, like because they just went, what am I doing anywhere that's not London when I'm in my early 20s? It would just, and then all of a sudden you realised you were, oh, she's here, he's here, he's here, he's here, she's here, like he's here. Oh, there's a party. Oh, I can just go to that party. I'm also in London. And everybody like, and it just, it was amazing. It's like, oh, I would have never have, like, these are all people that I was friendly with, but we weren't like best friends. We weren't, you know, reaching out to each other on phone and stuff. But you all of a sudden had this like low impact way of just like, yeah, okay, I like you guys. You're not, whatever. I don't need to swear so early. So I'll keep in touch, and I kind of missed that when it all became. I remember bemoaning this, like, I don't know, 20.
It was the timeline shift,
19
right?
Or something. It was when, it was like
the timeline
Facebook
feed
did
changed.
it where they started telling me about like Mercedes Benz.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, oh, David likes Mercedes Benz. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, you know, even if he does, like, why would I care?
Yeah.
Like, that's like, what the fuck? And then I think that's about the time that I just went, you know what, I'm just going to delete this out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Stop telling me stuff like that. You used to tell me, like, some friends that you forgot about are having a party close to you, and that was useful. This is just nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. I think I did the same thing. Just left at one point, and then I still have my account because I've forgotten. Like, I think I used an email address that I no longer have. Yeah. So I've not tried to log back in, but it's been fine not having it. But yeah, they had that big like timeline shift, I think, when they introduced the timeline, the feed, and then it would just basically populate with like, I think it started off as like people that were connected to people you knew, and then eventually it was just like, this is just a free for all media source, and I just stopped using it.
As with many things, it seemed to be the business model and the VC pump and dump funding model that ruined it.
Definitely is a phenomenon of that.
As it seems to ruin so many things.
Yeah.
That are otherwise pure. This is why I don't like sort of all the social media bashing all the time. It's like, there's nothing wrong with like social media per se.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even that addictive. It's just useful if you use it right. But you're using the slot machine addiction version of this, not the clean, natural version where it's just people that you like, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the slot machine versions have all the network effect, which is a shame.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I think having the social is like an important part of the balance. Yeah. Otherwise it was just media. Yeah. So having a little bit more of that has been quite nice. It's been a welcome change. So I haven't felt compelled to try and like get my agent to just ship me news daily. But I was saying to you just before the pod, Lara does send me like a weekly report on Nosta as a DM of like everything we shipped during the week, and then things that moved forward but didn't quite, get completed. Like there are open questions, so things that we still need to decide on in those projects. And she'll extract a few different ideas that we can use as case studies if we want to talk to people or we want to put content out. And then, like the important considerations for the next week, which I thought was kind of cool. Like I wasn't sure if I would use that practically. I was more just like, I want to see if I can get Lara to send me a DM on Nosta. Because most of my Nosta DMs are actually bots. So it felt on brand.
May as well be your bot.
May as well be my bot. Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of surprised it worked. As I said, I've had so many bad experiences of Nosta DMs that
it's been really consistent. I think it's been like 6 weeks now, and it's been handy. I will sit and read it and go, I didn't realize we did all of these things. Yeah. And this was partly a function of autopilot we were talking about as well before the pod. It's like, I don't ever have like an obvious endpoint when I start up a new autopilot session. And so I end up, like the session ends up just bloating and I've done 10 things instead of the one thing I set off to do. And then at the end of it, I'm like, I don't know what I did. Yeah. And so that's just a nice recap each week. But yeah, I haven't got her sending me any news.
Yeah.
But it's just the weekly recaps, which were nice. But it works nicely with Noster.
I mean, this is where I was saying before, like I'm getting a lot more love for Flight Deck these days because of that.
Yeah.
Because I was getting lost in the amount of work. I mean, we've talked. This has been such a theme for months, which is that you can just get lost.
Yeah.
Like it's just too overwhelming. Like you get a lot done, and you can really like lock in and focus on stuff, and then you're like, if someone could just come up to you and say, "Oh, what'd you do today?" and you're like, "I don't know." Like I don't know. Like I mean, it's that classic deep work type thing when you're really like locked in, then you pulled out of it. You often like I don't know. Like there's probably a psychological thing there that's known, I guess, but like there's certainly a thing I've noticed, which is like if I'm not in that state where I was doing the thing, sometimes I find it hard to remember.
Yeah.
Like the moment you take me out of it.
Yes. I also feel like there's an element of, certainly for me, an element of ADHD. I don't actually think I have ADHD. I just think it's like working with the agents, like especially where there's like, we're talking about in Autopilot, especially because you want to just do a bit of deeper work in Autopilot. So yeah, I'll start in one session, and before I know it, I've got 4 sessions going.
Yeah.
Just to fill the spaces. And then 3 hours go by. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, there's 4 different things I've been working on. 3 different projects, a couple of different. Directionally, I've changed 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I'm just like, I don't know if this is healthy long term.
It's not definitely.
But it's fun.
It is fun.
But yeah, I almost feel like I'm getting stuff done, but it's also less rewarding in some ways because I'm actually not. All I'm doing is like prompting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to some degree, like the reward mechanism isn't there. And I think that also feeds the ADHD loop because it's just like, oh, you must do the next thing and now go and do the next thing and do the next thing. And so, yeah, I don't know. Whereas I feel like slowing it down and simplifying is almost more rewarding to some degree, which is why I keep saying like, I actually really love working in Autopilot now because it allows me to just step back a little bit and go, let me just think through this. And let me only have like max 2 sessions. And yeah, that has improved, I think, my enjoyment building as well. I think there were some changes like you'd sort of brought in as well with Autopilot around that time that just like visually made the
I just
whole-
made it like way nicer visually.
Yeah. It changed the experience like entirely.
Yeah. I noticed the same thing. Even just having like the properly rendered and copyable code blocks and stuff like that. I was like, oh, why didn't I do that? Like, like I've had this thing for like 9 months. Like, why didn't I think I had previously looked at doing better parsing the outputs and stuff, and it didn't. I think there's 2 things, like the way the different agent harnesses were persisting on disk was one issue, and the other one was around actually what we got back from that agent API that I use wasn't working well. It just made it like a massive like front end process to keep like reparsing it, and I was like, you know what, this is not worth it. And then I think the harnesses themselves under the hood got better, and like how they were establishing stuff. I was able to then start linking the native sessions that were on disk to the sessions inside Autopilot, so I could get all of the data directly and build all that extra complexity into Autopilot. And then all of a sudden, like, it made it easy. Plus then the models I was using to create and the harnesses I was using to program the thing were better. So, you know, you might try something like 3 months ago and go, oh, can we do this? This would be great. And I think I did it and it just looked shit. Like, and everything slowed down because there was all this extra work getting done in the client. I was like, all right, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And then I was doing more abstraction where I was operating somewhere else and just using pipelines to run stuff and the rest of it. And so I was like, yeah, it's not worth it. I'm not looking at it anyway. And then I got into a period where I was constantly like just running sessions directly and focusing. And I was like, I'll just try it again. And it just worked. Yeah. I remember it didn't even take, I think it was like one day it didn't have it, and then the next day I'd got it working. And I was like, oh, this is sweet. Even just like hiding all the thinking messages so you can see like what's just going on and like what's tool calls and what's not. And yeah, it just made it so much cleaner to operate in that it felt good. That and the recovery stuff, so having like native recovery of the sessions is way nicer.
I go further. I'd say it's become addictive.
Yeah.
Which
Sorry.
is nice. No, that's a compliment. I think that is, yeah.
Maybe it might be worth just saying like what these things are, because
Yeah, true.
I think we have talked about it sometimes, and we don't talk about it often.
If you just tuned in for the first time, not going to know.
Yeah.
So let's give a brief.
So as part of the core stack of software we use at other stuff, like we built something called Wingman. Wingman is several different components, but it really is like your agent harness and orchestration layer and apps that you work with. So the core thing we're talking about here is called Autopilot. So Autopilot is, think of it as like a little server that you can run, and it will have access to like an OpenAI Codex agent. It'll have Goose agents, it has Pi agents, it has Claude Code agents, it has Open Code agents. You can use whatever models you want, whatever harnesses. You can use Gemini on it if you really want to. I think I don't maintain it very much because I've never used it myself.
If you must.
If you must. But they're all there, and they all work inside the same like web-based environment. And the idea of Autopilot originally was, can I run all these things from my phone? And then the next thing I did was like, these things keep creating apps, and I need to test them, and I need to test them from my phone. So it also does like a bunch of like app hosting and DNS routing and things, so that you can just very easily create and host apps from Autopilot, which is like the brains and the power behind everything that you need to do with all the rest of it. And then we said like, oh, it'd be useful to have like some shared state across these different autopilots and things. And so we invented this thing called the tower. So obviously we've got a lot of like Wingman, like fighter pilots, aviation terminology here. So the tower is the central control there, and the tower does a few different things. It basically provides a back end for all the apps, so that they're not linked necessarily to the Autopilot instance, which makes it easier for multiple different things to work together or to share state. But what it can do is it will provide like a hosted Postgres environment. So you've got like decent database, and there's a few different ways of like creating that and building it out, where it's all like Nostr gated. So effectively anyone's got a Nostr ID and Autopilot, we know who they are in the database as well. So we can manage that, and we don't have to issue any new identities for anybody, for people to write to the database or to create apps. It's just if my bot can create stuff in my database that I own, for instance, by convention. It also has a graph, so you can build like knowledge graphs inside there as well, and that's all managed for you and gated in the same way. So you have it gated by your Nostr IDs, and your delegates can go and see your Nostr IDs. And then you also have like a storage backend. So you can have like images, files, whatever, mapped into the storage, so a S3 bucket. And then you can self-host all of that, and then that allows you to use those in any app that you create on Autopilot as well. And so, if you want to upload, if you've got storage and database, you pretty much have a back end, which means you can write pretty much native, like flat file served apps in Autopilot, which makes them way simpler because your back end is already taken care of. So you have like a back end as a service. And then we have another app called Flight Deck, which kind of, I don't know if we said it by name, we alluded to it a bit here. Flight Deck is kind of like the human plus agent interface layer. So the idea is, okay, well, Autopilot is like, I have my Autopilot, Andy has his Autopilot, and they're different things. So where do we meet to collaborate? That's Flight Deck. So this is very similar in concept to Buzz, which Block just released. I would say, I personally think Flight Deck's a little bit better. There's a bit more stuff going on in there. It's probably not as polished and as easy for other people to pick up, would be the difference. As in to install and set up and go for all the config. But, I also have less of a team than Block do. But similar thing, like it's Nostr based, it signs all the events, you know who's doing what. Again, like signing events with your identity is very important, because you've got something like a Slack where anybody can just ask an agent to do something, right? Well, who's asking the agent that lives on your machine to do something? Like I realized this very quickly when I was like, Andy, I can put Rick in this thing. And I'm like, hang on a minute, Andy can just ask it whatever he wants and get whatever he wants back. Fuck that. It's like, Rick, you only respond to signed messages from my pub key. It's like, okay, done. Like, it's just a very quick way of locking it down. But yeah, Flight Deck gives you sort of scopes and channels. So scopes are like groups of channels that we pull together. But in that kind of similar threaded chat interface that you might know from Slack or Discord. But it also supports in there tasks and documents and file storage. as native components as well. So you can have like your business files can go in there, and you can share and collaborate on those. You've got with yourself, your agents, your co-workers. You've also got your like tasks and Kanban boards. If you're planning projects, you can do it in there. The way like I would do the software development, I would talk in the chat with Rick. Rick gets the job, Rick dispatches it to someone else, and then he will track it inside the Kanban. So there's a lot of activity on the Kanban board that I just never see except when I go through the review column and just say, all right, that's all done. So I generally have like a review column stacked with 60 things that have been updated. But it's kind of useful to go back and just keep track. As you said, like so much stuff happens that you can lose it. So you have all that. Like when I'm designing stuff, like I have a channel where I've got, because you can set different like system prompts per channel as well. I can take the same bot, which is like Rick's my main agent, and then I have a bunch of like worker agents in each project. So I've got like a channel now where I can just dialogue with him, which sets it up, says, look, we're not here to do work, we're here to chat. I want quick responses where you're supposed to be prompting me as much as I prompt you. This is a dialogue, we're trying to work through this in a Socratic manner, keep on topic, and let's keep moving forwards. And then in that channel, we just discuss stuff before we implement anything, with the idea of like figuring out a document by the end of it. That gets tracked in as like a flight deck doc. I can jump in, do comments on it, whatever. Rick can respond to the comments. And then we'll pull that into a different channel and do the implementation.
Okay, so here's a question, because I think this might also like dovetail into the discussion about buzz as well to some degree. It's like, so what's the benefit for you doing that in flight deck as opposed to just opening up an autopilot session?
When it's just me, there's less benefit because I can do most of this stuff in autopilot. The bit that it really helps with is when I've got multiple things that I might want to kick off and get done. Little jobs, they kick off, they're constrained in their own thread. One thread becomes one session on flight deck. It spins up to on autopilot, so it'll spin it up, do what it needs to do, dispatch the work, close that off, fall back, and like it all happens and it's invisible to me, and I don't have to touch the buttons to do it, which is nice. And that stuff just gets done and then just gets added to a review board for me to pick up at some point. So that's great. I also manage, like, I have multiple, like probably like 5 autopilots that are all there. So those 5 autopilots are 5 different like web interfaces, which is not so bad on my PC, or well, Mac or whatever, because I've just got 5 tabs open. But when I'm on my phone, like I like to run autopilot on my phone as like a single full screen app. So for me to use Rick, it was fine. But if I wanted to talk to Kato or Holly, like they were different. It was just wholly different web interfaces. And it's still useful to be able to go there and do the stuff when I want to, but I didn't want that overhead of having multiple tabs for multiple different things, whereas I can just address them all inside flight deck, and I can say, Rick, work with Holly. and I can see them coordinate inside there as well.
True.
So that's useful. And then I think it's going to be like, we've got some projects coming up that we want to do like more collaboratively with the development. So that was the main reason I want the flight deck experience for that, is that then we can do, you have like the scope of the project that we're working on, and then you have channels for whatever it is that we're doing, and then plus like the deployment and integration work, so that we can just simplify some of that like DevOps type stuff. Actually, one thing that I saw that Buzz did, I've been dialoguing with Rick about it actually.
Oh, very good.
Was the Git. So Buzz includes a Git server on the main thing, and I was like, you know what, it's another one of these services like the graph, the Postgres and the storage that I've got on Tower, that I'm like, you know what, that is something I should add to Tower. Is we should have like a Gitty
I did see that,
service that then is nostigated with all the same IDs, so that we can do the same sort of thing. And then instead of, because the problem I have with like, I say there's like it's like 10 different autopilots out there that I might want to, it makes a change on its local version of something, and it's like I have to like go and SSH into the machine to go and get the code back, because it doesn't have any of my GitHub credentials, because I don't want it to have my GitHub credentials, and I'm not setting up a new fucking GitHub account for every bot that I push out, whereas I can just give them all Nostr IDs, and I can say like, these ones are all mine, they can talk to this project, and that becomes really easy. And so I do have a design in there to add like a simple little Git server to the Tower as well, which I think will be a big win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
Hmm.
That is nice. The reason I ask as well is there's a multiplayer component to this as well. I know we haven't really fully explored this,
No.
but it's definitely been like directionally where we've been heading with Flight Deck.
Yeah.
But that seems to be like one of the kind of key benefits for Buzz.
Yeah.
In that environment. I mean, I guess my question, as I say, I haven't thought about it too much, but I'd wondered like how important that is. Because ultimately, I hated working in Slack with humans.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I still have like reservations from working in this space with humans, and I'm like, if you throw bots in there as well, like, does it actually get better? And the weird thing is, like, we experimented with this like literally in Slack, like 18 months ago, pulling bots into.
It was way longer
even
than
not
that.
earlier than that. Yeah,
2 to 3 years ago.
it was a while ago, right? So, yeah, and it was fine, but it just feels like you're adding more noise into a space. And sometimes I feel like where the work happens is like more important than like necessarily how the work happens to some degree.
Yeah.
Which is why I was saying like I quite enjoy like stepping out sometimes into autopilot and just being like, okay, well this is like the space almost for me, because I was using it in a way where it was like fueling my ADHD and that wasn't beneficial to me. Whereas now I feel like actually what I want to do is go slower, simplify, and just focus on the outcome.
Yeah.
Have more of a like a visual feedback loop where I can go, okay, I'm focusing on this one thing, trying to get this to work and really dial it in before moving on to the next thing. And it's like the complete opposite to the way most people seem to be coding with agents, which is very much just like broad scope, go smash this thing out in as few, like basically one shot it or close to. Whereas I'm like, no, I feel like this is just, and it's probably more token intensive for sure, but who cares right now? It just allows me to just dial it in and go, I'm going to focus on this like one specific feature and I'm just going to try and get this to like really work. Like while I was away, I told you I'd picked up a couple of older projects that I'd started like over a year ago. Yeah. And just, you know, they kind of worked locally and that was fine. And I wanted to get them to the point where they were like, oh, I could just pop this out open source and other people could use it. But obviously that last mile of work is like, that's where everything seems to happen. Yeah. And so just, little things. I was like, so one of them is the screen recorder. And I was like, oh, what I'd really like to be able to do. Because again, the whole point of that is just lightweight. Like, so it's not an app. It literally just runs out of the command bar with a few different preset options. And then the post-processing occurs after you've finished recording and it's done. Because I just didn't want all of the bells and whistles. But I was trying to use my phone as a camera so that if I didn't want to necessarily screen record, but I wanted to record me from my phone, I could run it through the same app. Yeah. And so I just wanted to dial in that and get it to work really effectively. So now I can just like walk around with my phone and it can record onto my screen. But that was just like, and it's still not right. Like I haven't dialed it in like as much as I would like to. But it was one of these things I just wanted to sit with, and it was to the exclusion of everything. Do you have to have
is there a wire or is it wireless? Like how do you?
That one's wired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
that's interesting. So I would quite like something like that.
Yeah, I was like, this could be cool because like if we're going to do some different content, like you can flip between your screen recording and then you on camera and then you back to screen recording. But I didn't want to do it in such a way where I have to like interface with an app. You know, like if you use Screen Studio, you've got the app and then you've got your before you hit process, you've got all of your presets essentially. You can change things around and focus where the mouse zooms in, or like where the screen zooms in on mouse clicks and stuff. But all of that is just like preset, so I don't need, because I'm like I don't need to dial this in and tinker with it to like a fine degree. I just need it to do it to some degree. Yeah. But yeah, I just found myself actually having a more rewarding experience. Just going, I'm going to focus on one thing. I'm going to dial in, and like autopilot's really good for that. I find. I mean, that particular thing I was doing out of my terminal, so it was like less enjoyable. Yeah. But yeah, that's the way I've been going lately, just as a way of like managing my own ADHD, and also tracking what I'm actually doing.
So I've always had like a similar aversion to Slack.
Yeah.
For working with people, and I think part of it is like a lot of my Slack-based work like I actually think it's pretty good as a real-time comms
Yeah.
thing if you're all in
Right.
real time. And like my main issues with it was like just working with people from different time zones, where like it's not very good for catching up afterwards.
Mm.
So I feel like one benefit of working with agents in that manner is that they are actually just there
Yeah.
when you need them. I also like things like, say, the Book of Sand thing that I've got that posts me news. It shuts off overnight, so it doesn't do it during the night, so I don't wake up to like a ton of messages that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I think it runs between like 6 and 10 or something like that. But so that's quite useful, is that it's real time when I want it to be real time, which makes a massive difference.
Mm.
Like I'm a little bit skeptical in the same way I was with OpenClaw, that like managing bots via DM is too low a fidelity to get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
Like it's very good for getting quick changes done.
Yes.
And I think this is one of the reasons I liked Autopilot. Is like, okay, I'm in there, I'm in the project, I can see everything, I can call up whatever file and have it sat next to my terminal window. I can watch the thing. Like it's
the same for humans.
yeah.
Like,
it all kind of works.
it's hard to do important work via text.
Yes.
If you're working with another human. Like,
So
yeah.
I've tried to solve. So that's one, and another one is like I find that just threads on threads on threads are hard to track.
Yeah.
So the way that I've tried to solve that in Flight Deck is that, see, I was showing you earlier, I've now gone back to like a full, just unified inbox of like, here's everything that's changed, which makes it very easy to see what's going on in one hit and to mark everything off as done and stuff like that. So that helps a lot. The scopes and channels has been multiple iterations to figure out exactly how to build those out and get them right, which kind of helps to split up logically like where the work is happening and what maps to what. I think mapping one thread to one session in Autopilot works quite nicely. I'm probably getting off track here a bit. So how else did I fix it? So the other one was tasks and documents. Like, again, when I think about how I've added, like, you can't be in person with a bot, right? So you can really, like, you've got to lean back on, what were the bad experiences of working asynchronously with remote teams, for instance, and how do I eliminate as much of that as I can, which I think a lot of it was probably just out of time zone work. Like when a lot of stuff happens when you're not there, you feel disconnected from it. This is why I don't like the one-shot stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you're deliberately having a team of people that does all the work while you're asleep, which sounds fine.
Yeah.
But what you realize is that you're pointless. Like you can't steer it in any way. All the decisions are made when you're not there, and the thing will make a million decisions. Like you just have never documented it enough. So you're better off working in small bites. That's personal view.
Yeah.
So trying to eliminate those bits, and then the things that always worked well were, you really need like documents and comments.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's a small change, you can do it in the chat. It works, particularly if you're then going to test it straight after. But again, that involves doing a small change and immediate testing, which Autopilot helps because it can just serve the app straight up to you. It's nice.
Yeah.
Then you've got, like, the other one is just like, thinking things through, having like a persistent chat that I can just dip in and out of, and I know where to find it, and the structure works nicely for me. Having it then summarized as a document. So as I'm chatting, the document can keep updating, and then I can jump into the document and leave appropriate commentary inside the document, and then continue the chat. Like that solves a lot of the problems for me, because this is like how I would have done it online with people, like when I was in the same time zone sort of thing. We'd be like, okay, we need something we can agree on to know that there's an output. So let's get together, let's jump in, and then let's just go through all the comments in this document. So the ability to do that in Flight Deck, I think, is good. It almost makes me wonder if I should have a view which pulls up like the chat plus the doc and the comments all like side by side, because like thinking about that, it's kind of what I would have done in person with people is that we're talking about the comments that we're all looking at on the board. It's like this comment, I'm talking about this one here.
Yeah.
Like, let's discuss it. And even that might have its own little chat.
A little pamphlet for you.
So having those threaded comments in Flight Deck can be useful for just like, and then there's a little bit of extra prompting. So because every channel and scope has its own custom prompts, like I can set up all the defaults for Wingman of like, okay, this is how you act when we're talking in this channel. And so having like ones where I know that when we're doing this job, he's not like, agents have this problem where they'll try and give you everything in one go.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like it's two things most.
Do you find that changes that? Like
I'd rather iterate and go a couple of things.
We've kind of talked about this in the past, like offline, but like dialing down the thinking on the model tends to help a little bit.
I think so, yeah.
Like, that's the right answer. Is it's like I think so. I'm not 100% certain it does, but it just feels like it's a better experience when I dial down the thinking. Depends what I'm doing. But.
Yeah. I will sometimes like pop it up, but I'm almost entirely run like the better models on low thinking.
Yeah. Because
I don't necessarily. I almost like want their like gut judgment, right? So if they think for too long, what they're doing is kind of sitting in that thinking loop and like exploring lots of different options and giving itself prompts and answers and answering, making decisions and stuff. And I don't really want it to do that. That's the idea behind the whole dialogue process is like that. We can do that together and then we'll arrive at somewhere. But it's like so often I find that when I have an idea, and so I've got this idea about this, and you go, oh yeah, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, I now know that this is a bad idea. Like even though like it might even be that the answer it comes back as like, oh, this is a great idea and we should definitely do it. And this is what it might look like. And I was like, oh fuck, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Yeah. Like all that stuff can fuck off. Yeah. Like, let's wind it back a little bit. And I haven't really thought this through. Yeah, that would be a problem. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to do it anymore. And it's oh yeah, maybe not. Like, well, but like if you can go through the iterations, you get to the right spot, and then you've got the right context. Like it isn't like it's No Solutions season again. We got a shout out on No Solutions recently.
Oh, very good.
With GG, he said, "Oh, good stuff. It's a podcast. It's like No Solutions inspired, and they do dialogues and stuff. And they've been talking about
amazing
a lot of these things in AI. So that's
Does that mean we need to keep the name? We've finally got a shout out.
No, that's why it's dead. It's dead now. We've done.
We've
achievement unlocked.
Mission accomplished. Thanks, Gigi. We're retiring now.
So yeah, and so what was I saying? So I was listening to No Solutions, and it was Gigi outlining, and I get it because we've talked about this before, but he was talking about like one of the nice things about using this sort of Socratic questioning method with your agents is they kind of fill up the context correctly. And he'll say about like he doesn't try and one shot all the context into it. He tries to like lead them through this process of discovery where he'll be like what did we change recently? And like, we changed this and this. Yeah, okay. Do you think any of that might have affected this? And that's why we're seeing this thing. So, it could have done. Like, what's like 5 or 6 ways that might have done? And so, these are 5 or 6 ways it might have done. This one feels like the most. Okay. Well, can you explain that a little bit more? And you talk it through this like very human process of just it building its own context instead of just like, why do this sort of thing where I think the thing to remember is there's just like never enough information in whatever you've just one-shotted.
Exactly.
And I don't think there ever can be. And you can spend a lot longer trying to get to the point where you can one-shot it, but you just end up spending a lot of time burned on something that you don't even know if it's correct yet.
Yeah. I think to some degree this might come a bit more naturally to us as well. Slightly different reasons, but we both like had like teams of developers that we've worked with. I know in the past, like for me, I was always like really curious about like why we would do things, and so I would not just like I'd always ask questions around like why did we like go for this specific architecture or like this feature, like why do we have, what is the point of this, basically to like try and extract the thinking behind some of this stuff, because like we were a pretty small lean team and it was just like trying to figure stuff out on the fly really quickly. But that would almost slow everything down because I was trying to like work out like why are we doing this and why are we not doing this, and even that I would kind of like to some degree censor because it would slow things down. But now I don't feel like that's a problem. Like I can just ask the right questions. And I think asking the question also then forces some rationalization of the response as well. And it's like, okay, well, hang on, like, is this the best way, or have I just opted for a default way?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's some value in that process now that you don't have the constraint. Whereas I think the constraint in the past was always what governed what you could do. And whether it's like time, capital, but also the people you have and the skill sets those people had. Like, whereas now you literally have these agents and they can just like blur the skill lines to some degree and go, yeah, I have a default preference for this stack, but like maybe that's not optimal for this project, and let me dial up the thinking and figure out like, oh, maybe we should do something a little different. And again, that is like slower than I think most people's experience with agents, because it seems like everyone you listen to online is just trying to, it's like, I don't know, it sounds like people are just sat on their throne and they're just directing the serfs, go do this, now go do that, go do this. And it's like, yeah, I don't feel like that's an optimal way of working for me.
I do a bunch of that as well. Like,
I think it depends what it is.
Yeah. This is another one of the reasons I kind of like the models to be on low, is that like I've already decided what I want you to do. I want you to fucking do it.
Yeah, I think that is a fair, that is a a fair comparison as well, because what I find is I don't like to do the same work twice. So this is where like pipelines and Wingman are just so amazing, because
I didn't even mention that.
We didn't mention them, no, but like we can just speak them into existence. But it's usually like what I'll do is like I'll do a bunch of work, and you'll get the outcome, and then it's like, okay, like, let's reverse engineer this into a pipeline, so I can just like kick this off, or you can kick this off, or it can kick off on a set cadence every day, every week, whatever. Yeah, and that is really cool, because then I don't actually need to go and like do that same work again, which is actually most knowledge work if you think about it. It's like just doing the same work over and over again.
Yeah, so for the new listener, like a pipeline in Autopilot is effectively, it's a code first workflow that can include agents. So it's a way you can declare a workflow to be a certain set of thing. It can run certain instructions, it can pass data into the next steps and so on. And then at any one of those steps could be an agent, and the agent will fire up, make a decision, do something that you need like intelligence for, go look at something, and then it'll close itself down, moves back into the code space. But it just reduces the cost of doing repetitive work, and it increases the level of I guess the predictability of the outcomes and the consistency. This, it sounds like it's like skills, but it's not, because skills operate inside the agent runtime, so you kind of have to hope the agent follows the skill. Whereas in a pipeline, it's forced. It's code. Like, we don't ever ask the agent to run the code just runs the code that it's needed. Then the agent gets only what it needs to make its decision, and then it shuts down, and then we carry on with the code. That sort of model. Yeah. Which a lot of stuff, it's less, you've got to put more work in up front than you would with a skill, or just an agent loop. But once you've figured out what you want to do, it means you'll get the right sort of output.
Yeah, I feel like the consistency is like the really important thing to aim for with that kind of work. And again, like most people's work in a business requires consistency, because the lack of consistency is where the risk tends to lie. So yeah, you want to like optimize for determinism, which kind of goes against having agents running around being like, well, I mean, I think we've talked about this a bunch on this podcast, but it's always like most businesses are built on determinism. Yeah. And so just having like a bunch of agents running around, all of a sudden you're just YOLOing intelligence all over the place. You don't know what is going to come out of that.
Yes.
It's not necessarily, that sounds great in theory, but it could also just be an absolute disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, again, most stuff you value the consistency over the intelligence. That's why business processes exist. You don't just hope that you hire an intelligent person that figures it out correctly every time. Yeah. From scratch.
Which is why I'm so bullish. Like, I mean, this is an AI podcast, but it is also a business podcast, because I think like business is like the perfect vehicle to run agents, just because they're pre-built for them. Like they have processes, they have hierarchies and authorizations, they have informational flows, they have like unique context. Like a business is like a great environment for agents to run in, because it has those like necessary constraints that we've built for humans. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we don't. I
feel like, as we said this like a million times, like the business is the vessel. Yeah. This is where the value accrues. Like it's not to the software, it's not to the agent, it's not to the model, it's not to the harness. Like the business is the software. The business is the software, eventually. So you can help the business create the software, which is sort of where we're positioned. at the moment, and then Wingman is the thing that we use to do it and we deliver on, because it just brings so much of this stuff pre-built.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here's a suite that we can just hit button deploy. Now you've got that, and I know if you've got that, then I know exactly how I'm going to hook in all the agents. I know how I'm going to make them deterministic. I know how I'm going to do the graphs. I know how I'm going to build your database. Like, it's just a bit more one-stop shop. It makes our job easier if you have a Wingman.
Yeah. It's way more palatable for a business too, because like all of a sudden you don't need to like custom build all this stuff.
Yeah.
That would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to spin up, and we would have to do repeatedly. So I think it's more commercially approachable for most people too.
I think there's somebody, a Nim on Twitter, Kiwi. I think maybe it was called Kiwi New Zealand Hoddle, which is tautology, but you know, there you go. Was asking me about Wingman, and they shared all the repos and some screenshots of it in action, and he's like, "Oh, this looks sweet." And he's like, "Oh, would you consider like just moving to Buzz?" I was like, at the moment, I feel like I'd be going backwards.
Yeah.
It doesn't do a bunch of things that I want it to do, and so I'm not sure why I would. But there's probably a bunch of like learnings, because I generally just like Block. I like a lot of the people there that I've met. I'm like, okay, well, there might be stuff that we can share around like why I made all these decisions in Flight Deck, for instance, that are different to Block, that it might help.
But also to some degree, that's not the ethos, right? I mean, it's always, if the business is the software is the business, then like really we're just finding a way that works for us.
And I think Flight Deck is like part of it.
Yeah.
It's not the thing.
Exactly.
Right? Like this is the thing. Like at the moment, everybody's obsessed with Buzz being the thing. And as I said, like before we started, like I just still get this like feeling that it might be the rocket ship. It might also just be OpenClaw.
Hype cycle.
Like I feel like stuff doesn't stick.
Yeah.
In the way that
everyone's looking for the next thing constantly.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, and there'll be a bunch of I mean, the fact that I've already like got a version of this, I think doesn't matter. I've seen other people posting about it as well. I imagine there's a whole bunch of them. I think it's broad. It's not necessary. It'd be easy enough to put it into Slack as well. Like, this is the thing. It's not that defensible. I think it's great that they built it open source and they built it on Nostr, and there's huge wins for that. I really like what they did with the Git server. I think I will probably just copy that into Tower as part of the stack. But the point of like the Wingman stack is not to be the software necessarily, right? It's the capital good that we deploy inside other businesses, and then the real like win is the stuff you build on top of that. And so, like just Flight Deck, it's okay. Like, and we looked at this like a few months ago, thinking like, is this the product that we should be going out with? And then you bring your own agents, which would be like a Buzz type product. And it just didn't feel like it would work. For it just, like when some stuff you go, oh shit, I can see this. And like that one just didn't quite feel right. I still wanted it because I wanted it for me. I wanted it for the business stuff. But I think like, the idea of like, okay, I deploy this, like every business gets one of these stacks. And then now we can build the actual system that is the business on top of this. So this takes care of like some of the hosting infrastructure, the graphs, the knowledge, the communication with all the agents and everything you need, so you don't have to jump into autopilot. And then you build the apps that the business needs to actually run its day-to-day operations. Now all of them need to be gated and ID'd in some way. So again, like Gnostic just beautifully proliferates across the whole stack of stuff.
Completely.
So that's still like a little bit dubious at the moment because of the key management issues for some of these businesses, but I also have the Wingman app, which I've been running pretty consistently now for a little while, which is basically like a Flutter-based app that will compile into iOS, Android, Mac desktop, Windows, whatever, and you put your key in it once, it securely holds your key, and then it basically just runs as a browser wrap. So you can open up now any other of these websites, and like all the Wingman stack and all the WAPs that are built to run inside this. And so you have it does browser like signing integration inside there as well, but it keeps it like in memory. I can parallelize all the signing, so a bunch of problems that I have with other signers just go away if you use the Wingman app to access the Wingman products.
Yes.
And so I think that's the right sort of thing that we can then deploy.
Yeah.
And you can have encrypted backups back to something that we can help with people to recover keys if they need to. But
Yeah,
it's
I
pretty
think I think it is just the like kind of the foundational layer to work with your bots in the business.
Yep.
And there's a lot of like essential infrastructure there that you're probably just not going to be able to build yourself.
Yeah.
And then the bit where we come in is to build the layer on top of that, which is like highly personalized software,
It's the
which
WAPs.
which is the business, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like software necessitates that you work in a certain way, and it forces you to work like everyone else.
Yep.
Whereas our approach is you already need to work a certain way that is tailored to your business, and your software should reflect that, not the other way around. And I think this is like maybe some of the talk about bars and even what we've been discussing with Flat Deck is it's like very much like old world software, which is just like I need to build this and distribute it to as many people as possible. So it needs to do just enough for all of those people. And yeah, I think the greater opportunity right now is to be that foundation layer, walk in with the infrastructure, deploy that, and then go, right, let's actually codify your business in software. So this just becomes hyper efficient.
I think that's a great call. That's the right model, I think, mentally. Is so if you think of like people, so Presidio Bitcoin Jam, friends of the pod, Steve Lee. We should try and maybe I'll try and invite him on.
We should get him on the pod.
But like he was talking about Buzz, and he said, look, at a minimum, it feels like all the open source projects that I have to be in should be on Buzz.
Yeah.
Because then I've got one ID that works across them all.
Yeah.
Like I've got a consistent interface. We can bring bots to them. You can have like one bot shared across. Like here's another thing is like just the idea of sharing the one Claude code, right? So, you could set up like I can do this at home where I can set up like, I mean, they're not Rick because that's mine, but a second version. Like the kids have got their own like basic codex bots that are segregated, as does the wife, although I haven't handed it over yet. But you have your own bot that's like just for you, or you can have like one family bot and everybody can talk to the family bot.
Yeah.
And like it gives you that interface to say, okay, now we all share this bot because like your grand's not going to set up a bot.
Yeah.
But she might be able to just text one. So stuff like that, I
That's
think
cool.
is useful, the sharing stuff. And so I can see that in that side, that open source space, and it can manage integration. Like it's about, Buzz is about building software. I think the difference with the Wingman stuff is its end goal is to build the business in
completely.
software. So it's like you wouldn't necessarily expect the day-to-day business. Like you might talk about it in flight deck channels. You might consume it as like there's a set of apps. Like one of the first things on the screen is like, what are my WAPs? Like, what do I need to know? Like you can push reports and documentation into there. You might collaborate on stuff in there. It's like collaboration space, but the actual work that gets done, like your CRM system or like how you're doing outreach to clients, that's a separate app and process in itself. It just also runs on the same infrastructure and can use all the same agents under the hood.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. It might also look completely different. I mean, CRM's a great example that I've used with people because it's like they just expect rows and columns in tables, right?
Yes.
And it's like, well, yeah, but if your agent is handling all the work, why does it need to look like that? And there's this like first principles thinking that gets to like kind of come through a lot of these design decisions as well for software going forward, which I think is really interesting. And I think this is also like it dovetails into this view that a lot of people have, which is that, well, everyone can just build their own software now. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But will they?
No.
I'm not sure they will, especially people who are running these kinds of companies that we work with. I mean, we position ourselves as like an AI partner. And the reason we do that is because like businesses often want that like trusted set of hands. It's not just like a third-party vendor that is shipping software for them. It's like, can we actually get you on the phone and talk to you?
Yeah, it's more about responsibility and maintenance sort of thing. Like you want somebody to talk to so that you don't have to deal with this.
Exactly.
That's all. Yeah.
But I do think there's like this kind of systems thinking that's like a really essential component of doing this work, which often doesn't necessarily come out of the business itself because like you need the 30,000 foot view of the business. So I think sometimes that like process of stepping out with a couple of other people who are not in the business can be quite useful.
Yeah.
To work out, okay, what are the processes? How well do we stick to them? What are the skills in the business? Where are the opportunities? And then how do we like codify all of that into software that just like unlocks a whole heap of like scale for the company? I think that is a really useful space to play in because yeah, as I say, some people will try and build their own software, and it's actually great if people we work with try to knock up their own first iterations of this stuff, because it gives us a sense of like how are you perceiving the problem, how are you perceiving the solution, and then going, right, okay, these are all the gaps, and a lot of this stuff is solved by this like Wingman operating layer, I guess.
Yeah. Well, even knowing like what do you put into code, what do you give to an agent, like what becomes part of pipeline versus part of the application.
Yeah.
How and when and why do you invoke certain pipelines or certain sessions? Like, there's so much design work. I think what's happened is software became cheaper and more personalized.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's going to be better. And therefore there's going to be a lot more people creating software for other people, because again, there's going to be businesses that aren't software businesses that now need software.
Yeah, completely.
That could never have had it before. And that comes with the creation and the maintenance of that software. So I just think there's going to be an explosion of software jobs and companies and people using these things to build for other people. Like it's the way it always is, right?
I think
it's still
simpler.
division of labor. If nothing else, it's just the attention aspect of it. Like, you do need to pay attention to these things.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't build 1,000 projects at once, even if AI is doing the work. I certainly can't do it in a way that I can then charge somebody else for, because I just feel bad about it. Because I don't even know what's in there. I can't guarantee it. I can't put my name on it in any meaningful way. Therefore, I may as well have just not done it. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, totally. Completely. I think there's also this move back to simpler software as well, like to some degree. I mean, simpler maybe not under the hood, but simpler in terms of like user experience.
Yeah.
Because so many of these tools are just bloated, because again, like they have to work for so many different subgroups, because their target market is just broad. It's like an inch deep and a mile wide. So you need to stuff it with as many features as possible. And often that just makes the user experience worse for everybody. I think you can just dial it in.
Yeah. I feel like if you ignore like enterprise stuff, and you just say, and you look at like the real world and you realize like how much of the world is just Excel spreadsheets.
Yep.
It's like, if nothing else, we're going to turn all the Excel spreadsheets in the world into actual applications that are somewhat robust.
Yeah.
Even if they're not perfectly robust, like they're not in, you're not accidentally going to delete a column and you're fucked. Yeah. Like, we're not relying, like your whole company is no longer dependent on SharePoint's autosave feature or something like that. Like, or somebody misconfiguring a macro, or the fact that you email the spreadsheets around and people are just operating on completely different version
control's a mess
of stuff. Yeah. Like, these are like, they're just sort of the age-old problems that never got solved, and we kind of pretend they don't exist anymore. But they do everywhere. Like, so we should probably just not pretend and go fix, like, it's the boring work of fixing this stuff, but it's the work.
I think people also underestimate just how many like multi-million-dollar companies are just people texting on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And there are huge dependency issues there. Like, it's just one founder or sometimes two, and they're just pinging off instructions to people on WhatsApp. Not dissimilar to how people use agents. It's kind of ironic, but and these I mean, we know people like this. They run their company this way, and they're multi-million-dollar companies.
But then you also get the struggle of just, how do you stop?
It's ease and convenience to some degree. Yeah.
It's easy. It's like the old. It's interesting to say that, right? 'Cause it's very similar to the OpenClaw Polytrick example that we talked about a bunch, which is that it's very compelling to be able to just text something on WhatsApp and it does something.
Yeah.
And it's like how, like you said, you can make millions of dollars like this, but like your problem is going to be that you haven't really created an asset here. You've created like your own time liability, where this is, if you can make all the money and then you just stop and you're happy to just throw away all the time that you've invested into that company.
Yeah.
And like the amount of people we talk to, it's just like, you're working at like 4 a.m, or you're getting up early, you're leaving home late, you're not seeing the kids. Like, there's so many problems people have. You haven't been on a holiday for 12 years or whatever. Yeah. And like, so, externally you would look at it and go, oh wow, great life. You've got all the money in the world, but
no time.
Really? Like, you got no time. Like, that's not great. Yeah. So there's definitely, and you think like the thing to do here is the business should not be entirely dependent on you. And there's bits of intelligence in decision making that you probably make with a set of patterns, and they can be decomposed into pipelines
Yes.
and agents, and you'll probably get reasonable results. And if you can get reasonable results, then you can probably get rid of a lot of your requirement to be in the business, and you can spin it back down. You can manage by exception. You can bring in other people that don't need to know as much as you, because now you've codified a lot of the decision making. Like, these were all options for businesses forever.
Yeah.
They're just harder to implement, but you can help people implement it. And I think it's going to become easier to do that.
It's almost like you need to know exactly where to deploy the intelligence in little bite-sized chunks, and they become like, what are we going to call it? Like little intelligent snacks.
We call it intelligent snacks. We use that.
That's one of our.
It's one of our nice little meme names.
Indeed.
I like intelligent snacks.
Me too.
All right. On that note, that is the very last good stuff.